Oh boy. This episode, Mark gets swarmed by Japanese people desperate for a photo. Sandra Bullock has zero interest in being in a horror film. And somehow, Bradley unleashes his worst impression yet, possibly offending all of Germany in the process. You are not going to want to pass up this episode of Written Off. Happy New Year, mates! How you doing? How was it? Did you eat a lot of food? Did you hang out with friends? Did you drink way too much? Whatever you did, hey there, we're in 2026 now. We made it. You, me, Mark, we all made it. Yay, another year of struggle and grinding and trying to make a buck. Anyway, right up top, thank you so much for continuing to support this show. Mark and I, we are so grateful as we head into 2026. We've got the rest of season 1 to get through, and then we start on season 2. And by now, we've had some feedback, we've had some comments, I've had some great chats with fellow mates out there in the world, and it's been really nice. And I can't wait to see what this year brings for the podcast. If you've got friends that you think might dig this show, let them know. You got a family member that vibes with our kind of stupidity? Let them know. Because if we had to summarize what this year is going to be for Written Off, in a word, more. More guest stars, more special episodes, just a lot more in general. Bi-weekly, dropping on whichever podcast app you use. That being said, let's get to the episode proper. Mark?
Yeah, hopefully we'll have at least an hour of non-interruption.
I'll be surprised if we go that long, considering I haven't got much to say about this piece of shit.
I mean, I wouldn't say I enjoyed it. It tries to do something.
Does it? I like this. It's always nice when one of us can take the slack off the other. It's good.
I'll try.
Welcome to Written Off. How are you going today, tonight, tomorrow, this afternoon, this evening? How are you? I hope you're good. I hope that thing that you should have done was now done, because trust me, tomorrow, today, this evening, look, whenever you do get around to doing it, it's just going to be messy. You know it. I know it. And you know who else knows it? Trump. Trump knows it. You got to get that guy off your ass. I'm your host, Bradley Freeman. Thank you very much for joining us for another quality episode of Written Off, where you come and you listen to two middle-aged white guys kind of complain and kind of suggest maybe better ways of making a movie. With me, as always, is my fabulous co-host, Mark. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm all right. You just mentioned not leaving things until tomorrow. I watched a video by the YouTube. I'm sure everyone's seen Kurzgesagt.
Everyone knows that guy. That's a household name.
Well, he made a video, I think last week, taking the number of people that normally watch his videos, which is high. It's like in the, I think, millions, and taking the average demographic of the people watching it and said that 40 of the people watching this video will be dead next week.
Ouch.
Yeah, so you can sort of imagine, including me, I watched a bit of it and I was like,
Am I the 40? Each one of those 40 people is going to be me. I'll die 40 times.
Did make me think a little bit, but yeah, everything's fine, I think.
What's not fine, certainly not for Warner Brothers, and certainly not for those responsible or involved in the Joker, I can't pronounce it, Joker 2. I don't know when this podcast will be released. Probably by the time it's released, people are like, what the fuck? Why are you talking about Joker 2? That's like at least 8 years old.
Yeah, maybe. As somebody who extremely ill-advisedly wore that costume to a certain theme park many years ago and regretted it immediately.
Let me tell that story. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Mark, his lovely wife, and myself, we ventured to USJ, Universal Studios Japan, and it was Halloween. The great thing about USJ, during Halloween time, they encourage folk of all kinds to get their ass to the theme park and be dressed up. You can dress up as a licensed character, go for it. You can dress slutty to a certain extent, whatever you want, just go for it. Whereas Tokyo Disney Resort is a little more cautious, especially if you're going to dress up in the IP. USJ, they don't care. So I dressed up as the 10th Doctor, which was a fantastic idea because Doctor Who is not popular in Japan and no one knew the fuck I was. I was just a guy walking around in a suit with some Converse. Mark, perfect timing as always, chose to dress up like the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. This was maybe at the most 2 weeks after release of the film in Japan. So we're walking around USJ and he is mobbed continuously by a whole ton of Japanese people, just groups and individuals and girls and guys just almost manhandling him, saying, photo, photo, photo. Quite often I had to take the photo.
Now, let me remind you, I am dressed as the 10th Doctor. Mark's awesome wife, she was dressed as Rogue from the X-Men 97 animated series. And let me tell you, she looked amazing. The spitting image of that Rogue animated character. But the Japanese don't know the X-Men like that, and they don't know Doctor Who, so it's all on Mark. And Mark, as you can probably tell from this podcast, is a reserved kind of lad. You know, he's not as bombastic as I am. He's not as desperate for attention as I am. So it was pure joy for both Mark's wife and myself watching this man deteriorate through the course of a day. His makeup, that Joaquin Phoenix Joker makeup, it started to crack. It started to run. His face became this concrete mask of misery as again and again and again, no matter where we were eating, if we were heading to the restroom, if we were waiting online for a ride, it did not matter. The Japanese public at large honed in on Mark Tasker. For an entire day, he was probably the most popular person at that park, and it broke him. And this is Japan, right? So everyone is politely shouting at him in broken English, "Shashin? Shashin ii desu ka? Photo okay? Yeah!" They get way too close for Mark's liking, and they get way too hyper for his liking. And again, Japan. So one photo is not good enough. Oh no, the fucker on his right, dressed as a minion, he has to have a photo with his phone. Off-brand, super cutified Belle from Beauty and the Beast, she's got to have a photo. And so does her friend. And random anime character who none of us know who the fuck it is, they have to have a photo. And it went on and on and on. My favorite one was a girl dressed as Rei Ayanami from Neon Genesis Evangelion. She was so elated to have a photo with him. She was pinching his arm and all but hopping up and down on the fucking spot. And this is really weird because this movie, Joker, it's not Frozen. Frozen was an event in Japan. Everyone saw it 2-3 times. It was talked about endlessly. This is Todd Phillips' Joker. It just came out. It's an R-rated picture, but you couldn't tell because everyone was salivating for Mark Tasker. Salivating, folks. I wish I could take you all back in time and we could just eat popcorn as Mark's soul is chipped away photo by photo by photo. And I have to say this, it'll make Mark even more uncomfortable, which is why I have to say it. It's obvious I love this man, and that day, myself, his wife, and him, we were all looking after each other. It was funny to watch Mark quickly avert his eyes when someone made eye contact with him and pulled out their phone. But over the course of the day, we were all checking in with each other to make sure he was safe, he was okay, he wasn't going to snap. As funny as it was also just a really sweet time. Because again, he's not that kind of person. We all rallied around him, and it's not like you can tell these random people to go fuck themselves. That's not how it works, especially in Japan. We'll be on our deathbeds, and Mark's going to be like, God, do you remember the time they wouldn't stop taking photos? And I'll be like, ah, ha, 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 you fucking son of a bitch. Ah, ha, ha, ha. And then the nursing home door will bust down and thousands of Japanese people will flood into the nursing home. People that I've paid the last of my pension money to, and they're all gonna take photos, and he'll be like, ah, not again, ah. It's the simple things in life, folks. Anyway.
When I wore that costume, I was completely ignorant of some of the commentary online about the Joker film. I think the original Joker was adopted by a group of YouTubers or TikTokers who I don't like very much, who, yeah, the response to that film and how people read that film and how certain people adopted that film, I was really, really unaware of at that time.
People were worried there was going to be a riot or some shit, wasn't there? Like people were going to...
They were saying it was, well, this is the portrayal of a sort of heroic portrayal of an incel. And actually, he's right. Lonely white men are the most downtrodden on the planet. And absolutely, we should all be rioting.
Of course, yes.
Well, that leads me on to sort of, this film. I haven't seen it. We may go and see it. I'm not sure yet. But obviously, as Brad alluded to in the opening, we are in our 40s and we obviously both remember before the internet, we both remember the sort of very minimal marketing for films. You would just go and see the big posters in the cinema and this film is coming. I remember there's, Jurassic Park being one example, and you coming next summer or coming in 6 months or whatever. Now, obviously, we've got a completely different, it's a reaction 3-4 months before films come out. The reactions to trailers can destroy films. Certain toxic elements can destroy films based on one minor thing in a trailer that they don't like the look of. And so this Joker film, again, I haven't seen it, and some critics that I like haven't liked it. So I'm not saying it's a good film, but you do have to wonder if a lot of the negative energy going into this film is because of the sort of a female element to it, and that's been heavily used in the marketing, although apparently she's not in the film that much. She's not in the film anywhere near as much as the trailer would make it seem, but some of the people that I severely dislike have taken against the film, which kind of makes me want to see it, if you know what I mean. And that's where we are now, is you've got people entrenched with their opinions before things have even come out and setting a tone, and that tone, whether you like it or not, does sort of affect your decision to go and spend 10 quid or whatever to go and see the film, and or is going to be in your head, as the film starts. And all I would say is it's sort of, for someone of my age, it has kind of ruined it, because the purity of just going in, well, for any mainstream film has gone. Like, I think back, I was watching somebody talking about seeing Lord of the Rings in the cinema because they were too young to see it the first time. But that's, well, I wouldn't say the last time, but one of the last times I went in to watch a film or 3 films, knowing the source material, obviously, but not really knowing a great deal about what he'd done with that film. Having read no reviews, there was no internet really there to sort of, and just having this very pure experience with it, and then coming out and continuing to not read any reviews. So I just think, even if you don't want to, you're always either reacting against what certain people are saying on the internet, or you're going with it. Like, it's very, very difficult to just come out of a film like that giving your own, 2 cents worth. Maybe it's a me problem, I don't know.
If I can jump on this angry old man bandwagon, if it's a movie I'm excited to see, like anything that I know I'm going to go see in the cinemas, I don't watch the trailers.
No, right.
And if I'm in the cinema and that trailer comes on, I must look as though I'm having some kind of episode, because I kind of block my ears and I look at my crotch and I kind of just hum to myself. I've been doing that for the past 5 years, basically. If I know I'm going to see it, I'm hyped to see it, then I choose not to watch. Have you seen this movie? Are you thinking about this? And I'll talk to someone, who's 18 years or younger, and they'll say, oh yeah, I got the best scenes spoiled on TikTok. Does that mean you've seen it? I sound old and insipid.
Yeah, anyway, so if I do see it, I'll tell you what I think, but can what I think be as unfiltered as I would like? Probably not.
Can I tell you what I'm very, very excited to see?
You can.
One of my secret movie shames is that I've only ever seen one Akira Kurosawa movie in my whole life. And that is, of course, Shichinin no Samurai, Seven Samurai. And I love it. but that's the only one of his films I've seen. Luckily, one of my favorite local cinemas here in Christchurch, they're doing a retrospective on Kurosawa, and they're showing, if not all of his films, then the majority remastered in 2K or 4K on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
Every Tuesday, I'll be going to the cinemas to watch, for me, a new Akira Kurosawa movie. And I'm so excited. And again, talking about online, these movies are 40, 50, 60 years old, whatever. So I could very easily go and spoil myself and find out, but I won't. I'm going to go in and be like, okay, let's have a great time. I'm curious. I'm excited. I'm hopeful. I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen many. I mean, Rashomon is the one that I think Loki has had the most influence because of, well, I don't want to say too much, but when you see it, the way it portrays subjectivity and the way it very playfully asks the audience to consider what they're seeing has been aped and copied by, well, documentaries in particular. Lots and lots and lots of things forever since it came out in 1950, I think. So that's the one that like I go back to as a touchstone and as an influence. I think obviously everyone knows the influence Seventh Samurai had, but I think that one structurally has had, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, the biggest influence. It would be nice to go and see some classic films. I think the last one, I can't remember the last time I saw a classic film at the cinema. I might have been actually during the pandemic. I saw Spirited Away in Tokyo. You know, do you remember when we had to sit one seat open, one seat open, one seat, and we all had to leave in rows? Happy days.
Speaking of happy days, today's episode, we're talking about the 2018 American post-apocalyptic horror thriller Bird Box, directed by Suzanne Bier and written by Eric Heiserer, based on the 2014 novel by Josh Malerman. This is a film, Mark. This is a film.
What's his name? Josh what? Josh
Malerman.
Josh Malerman. What else has he written?
I've just finished reading his latest work. Yeah, so he's written quite a few books. He's a singer-songwriter, and he's also a novelist. His very latest book,
Incidents Around the House?
There we go. Thank you. Yes, I just finished reading it last month.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you quite like him then.
I'm not going to throw shit on the guy because he is a talented writer. He's certainly far more successful than I am. But after reading the Bird Box book and elements of the sequel, Mallory, the book, and then reading Incidents Around the House, I think he is fiercely talented. But the sum of his novels, the some parts of his novels don't quite land with me, which is no fault of his own, just personal taste. I can't say I've hated reading any of his material.
So you've read the book. You've read Bird Box, the book.
Yes.
Oh, so you're going to have plenty to say then.
I got boxed. Yeah. Works better as a book.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can see that.
When you've got a book written in the first person, Mallory's talking to you the whole time. And when she's describing shit that she's trying not to look at, well, it all works so much better, unfortunately, than it does on the big screen or the small screen.
Yeah, I think when you're describing senses or lack of them or exaggerate, I mean, I always think of Perfume by Patrick Süskind, the book, which was a sensation, which got made into a film.
It did, didn't it? Yeah.
Almost 20 years ago now, I guess. And I think the film has a decent stab, but the joy of the book is the way Süskind is able to describe smell. It's incredible. And I think I may be wrong, but that's certainly the only book of note that he wrote. And you can kind of, when you read a book and you're like, wow, you have poured everything into this. I'm not quite sure what you're going to do next because it was so extraordinary. Well, he's written a couple. He has written a few things after, so I won't say he's not written anything. We're not, it's not a Salinger situation. But anyway, yeah, Bird Box. I didn't probably dislike it as much as you did. I mean, I didn't think it brought anything particularly interesting, but I didn't really think it did anything horribly wrong.
Well, let's follow the flow of our show and we'll get into it. As excited as our listeners are, they're just, oh man, they're just frothing at the mouth. Bird Box. What is Bird Box? Well, it's all about a character named Mallory Hayes, played by Sandra Bullock, as she tries to protect herself and two children from entities which cause people who look at them to kill themselves. There's a summary right there. Directed by a female director. Love it. More, please. Solid actors through and through.
Yeah, it's a good cast.
Had a decent budget. So, what does work in this film for you?
This is the point at which I usually sigh and then there's a long pause. I don't dislike the setup. You've always got decisions to make about the setup. Do you throw us straight in? And it kind of has its cake and eats it, because it kind of throws us straight in and then very quickly, and I know the book is also set in different timelines, it kind of very quickly goes, right, let's go back. I quite like the sister stuff. I mean, Sarah Paulson, isn't it, is a really, really fine addition to anything, I think. And I think
the screen brightens when she comes into it.
Yeah, and they're given quite a long time in that little sort of prologue-y bit. Like we do get to know, I mean, the problem is we don't get to know the other characters enough, but we get to know those two and I think they bounce off each other really well. I quite like that. It's a bit ham-fisted occasionally, like, have you not seen what's happening in Russia? No, it's a little bit clunky, but I think those two work quite well. And as a casual viewer, you'd be a bit like, okay, this is quite intriguing. We got characterization. Obviously, they kill her quite early, but I didn't hate the beginning. I mean, this has nothing to do with the way it's written, but I like the score. I think the score is quite effective and the sound design is quite effective.
You know who doesn't like the score?
No.
Trent Reznor, the guy who made the score.
It's a lesser Trent Reznor work, perhaps, but it's still Trent Reznor.
He blames it on the editor.
Maybe.
What a fucking waste of time, quote unquote, because the editor did the sound mix when apparently he was touring and they turned down the scores.
I like Trent Reznor and I like the scores he produces, but you can't. I think perhaps he's a bit of a control freak. Within that kind of film, I don't know what else you could expect, Mr. Reznor.
Fair point. Fair point.
There are very few, unfortunately, even John Williams has been hacked in some films. So all I would say is I think in moments of tension that early, it's a relatively disturbing scene where the sister, the eyes go and she kills herself. I mean, mainly it's probably because of the performance. But yeah, I didn't hate the beginning. As it goes along, the flashback is a bit imbalanced. The stuff on the river is like 1 second on the river, boy, girl, bye, back to the past again. The film is much more interested in the past, and it almost feels like it doesn't really want to bother with the river bit, but it knows it kind of has to. But at the beginning, I would say even until Bullock walks into the house with all the people, I quite liked it. Maybe it's because I watched The Happening not long ago, which is genuinely baffling.
Invoking Shyamalan. Nice.
Well, it's true though. It's the same setup, isn't it? Basically,
we'll get into it later on, but that's my issue with the film.
Oh, it's very derivative.
Yeah, highly.
Very.
Oh god, I sound so fucking catty. Highly.
Let's make that up front. Derivative.
Talking about was cool, what we liked. We've seen it before in movies and we've read it before in novels and played it before in video games, where in the background something is on the news that the audience is like, oh shit, that's important. And the main characters are like, which is just the nature of the game. Of all the variations we've seen over the years, mass suicides is cool. Brad says mass suicides are cool. No, it's fresh. It's interesting. And I've written out a lot of my notes. Intriguing. Interesting.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Having mass suicides starting over in Russia and then kind of spreading, that's intriguing. And then Sarah Paulson, when she looks, just like you said, it's the acting, but when she looks and says, oh my God, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Ooh, that grabs your attention because you don't see what she sees, but she sells it with her acting. And just the line, oh my God, what the fuck is that? Anytime a character says something of the equivalent of that line, it hooks you. Seconds later, another person says, Mom, don't go.
Yeah.
Cool. I liked that part of it quite a bit.
There you go. You've got, pretty interesting actors in there. It really wastes that Australian actor, I've forgotten her name, is Jackie Weaver. So she's barely in it. And you've got Tom Hollander, and obviously you've got Malkovich. Malkovich stuck with some awful lines, though. A poor guy. You can see the disdain as he has to say them a lot of the time. It does, though. We're off to the supermarket, so now it's invoking the mist. Of course, it's massively derivative, but you did have a lot of pieces there to make it a bit more effective than it was.
What is the first mistake this movie makes writing-wise, in your opinion? So if you're reading the screenplay, the first element, line, scene, where you would go,
I really dislike when she walks into that house and you've got too many characters and they're saying things that you really don't believe they'd be saying. And it's a cacophony of characters and, oh, look, he's quirky. And to me, it's character overload, which is a shame because until that point, it had been basically a kind of one-hander, two-hander. And as I said, that period goes on quite a long time. And you've got that frenetic, it's got a touch of the Schneider's Dawn of the Dead chaotic element to it when she's trying to get into the house. But as soon as she goes into the house, those characters have got to be really bloody well written, and they're just not. And to me, it's like, oh, okay, it's going to be that. And it's a shame because much later on, when her and the kids are trying to get through the forest and they're blindfolded, that more horror-y element is quite well done. But here we go. We've walked into a house. We've got to get to know these quirky characters and doesn't do much with them anyway. So why do we need to have so many of them? Just to kill them off again? We've had this discussion before, but for me, that's when my interest, had already peaked, basically.
For me, the first mistake this film made was the opening scene, the opening line. So
the opening line. Yeah.
Look, I don't hate this film. My biggest gripe against this is it's a nothing film. It's just, I've eaten this hamburger before. And unfortunately, this hamburger, be it vegetarian or not, it's the same taste that I've had before. But even then, it's actually tasteless. I'm just eating cardboard. I really wish there'd been a lot more lettuce, cheese, sauce in this burger. The book gets a pass because it's first person and it's very descriptive, and you spend a lot of time with Mallory. Mellerman, he knows how to write really good scenes. Unfortunately, this movie, so the opening speech that Sandra Bullock gives, can we have another take of this, please?
Yeah.
For a movie that starts, what it assumes, starts with tension. It doesn't. She tells these kids very bluntly, you will die. And that is shocking because the kids are so small and your heart goes out to them. But I would have liked if she's looking behind herself the whole time, or if she's fumbling her speech, or if she's incapacitated, or if something is coming in the door, just go, 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 go.
Yeah.
The opening trick to the boat and then getting on the boat be nonstop. For some reason, I was just, why isn't this scene a hell of a lot more tense than what you're showing me? Why isn't this film like a shotgun through the wall, just propelling you forward? And then I can't fucking deal with 5 years earlier.
Yeah. That's rubbish.
I hate this trick. Let's get you tense or scared or interested or hooked, whatever, and then we're going to fucking bore you.
I wonder if you've answered your own question there, because if they had made it fun, balls to the wall, kinetic, like 28 weeks later, something like that, and then they'd done that, I think people would have turned off. So I think they made it a little, but you know what I mean? They made it a little bit more low key, as you say, not as interesting, without doubt, because they knew they were going to do that jump. Because honestly, I'm with you. If they'd have done that following a year and then they'd have gone, bleh, I would have turned it off. Podcast be damned. So I think for balance, it doesn't excuse it because it makes it worse. But I think obviously that 5 years earlier is non-negotiable, which is a shame. But obviously the nature of an adaptation that they like that structure, or that they bought the book for that structure, probably because they wanted to do a different spin on it. It's not mitigation, but I would guess that's why they did it.
I had this theory. I haven't quite proved it yet, but in Japanese cinema, whenever someone looks out a window and it's raining, that is their visual cue for flashback time.
Yeah.
It seems to happen a lot in a lot of the movies I've seen from Japan. It's like, oh, here's someone looking at the rain, flashback time. So I'm somewhat of a stickler for that kind of rule. Like, if you're going to have a flashback, have that flashback be when the character themselves, your main character or characters, are flashing back. That's a lot of the F word in less than 10 seconds. So she gets on the boat with her kids, and then it's 5 years earlier. Is this meant to tell us that Mallory is like, oh, remember that time I was with my sister and everyone fucking died?
Yeah. No, we're going back without her.
We're going back. So already there's a disconnect with audience and character. Oh, you're already cheating me and I can't follow the ride. And then, like you said, pretty soon after, and now we're in a house. And it's the thing that you've seen 100 times before. Here are your characters. Here's your one location. Isn't this going to be tense? Well, the answer is no, it's not.
this ad for my novel, Momo and Matsu, I'd like to do something different, if you'll allow me. Talking about Bird Box, I kept bumping into the notion that the film thinks it's above being a B-grade horror film. Like it was too proud or prestigious to commit to the monsters that brought about the end of the known world in the movie. Well, that's not the case with my writing, for better or worse. You decide! Typically, my books have monsters or supernatural shenanigans in them. Could be a failing of mine, I don't know. But Momo and Matsu is no exception. So, in an attempt to put up or shut up, I'm gonna read a section of the novel where said monsters make their first appearance. For those new to the podcast, or those who skip my ads, I know who you are. Momo and Matsu is about the unlikely friendship that grows between an old man and a high school girl in Tokyo, Japan. The catch is that the girl, Momo, is dead, and the old man, Matsu, is the one who killed her. What the slippery fuck? I hear you cry. Well, jump on Amazon, type in Bradley Freeman, Momo and Matsu to learn more. But for now, here's part of the book that, unlike Bird Box, gleefully dives headfirst into its genre trappings. I have the hardcover edition here right in front of me. Yeah, you could really hurt someone with this. So, let's begin. Matsumoto saw nothing as he searched for the source of the laughter. The street was dark, cramped, and covered in a spider's nest of overhanging power lines. But nothing looked back at him, just a Tokyo street, no different from the one around the corner and the others beyond that. He squinted in pain as the horrid, distorted sound of jeering laughter bit into his ears. There, Momo said, gesturing to a nondescript sign, the message long since scratched away. Something stepped out onto the street. Matsumoto felt insanity tickle along the edge of him. There was no way someone could have been hiding behind the flimsy sign. It was too thin. Yet something had hidden behind it, and now that something edged further out onto the street in a manner that chilled him like stone. It stood no bigger than a man, but moved with a shambling, lopsided gait. Matsumoto felt his hands shake, the hairs on his neck ramrod straight. More of them began to plod out, emerging from behind signs, cracks between buildings, lampposts, and even under a car parked close. Anywhere darkness waits, a small, tiny voice said, are those that are cold, the forgotten, the first shadow. Matsumoto squeaked, fear building. They seemed to stretch and pull themselves from blackness, coming to the ground with a heavy blaff sound. Their laughter rose, creating a painful tingling behind his eyes, a sensation he wanted to claw at, dip his finger right into the warm meat of his eyeball, and just scratch, scratch, scratch. They moved as though they were underwater, slow but with a fixed, strained purpose. The more he looked at them, his eyes watered, stinging from the sight. They wore tattered, worn clothing, pants that looked like jeans but moved, swum in a way like no clothing he had ever seen. The same went for their hoodies, shorn and loose, but with a heavy mass lolling about inside. What pierced deepest into Matsumoto's sanity, an image brought forth from the mad and the damned, were the masks. Red, cracked facades with exaggerated features, long noses, glaring eyes, and stretched chins. Matsumoto could only compare them to Noah masks he had seen actors wearing in his childhood, the only image that extended to the edge of his reality. Further beyond was the void, the end of things. The shadow men squealed, looking at one another and snickering, all in on some great, cruel joke. "What is this?" Matsumoto said, stunned and afraid. "Death comes for us all in the end," Momo said. And there we have it. So yes, if you want to know more, jump on Amazon, type in Bradley Freeman, Momo and Matsu. The ebook is available at a cheap price. The paperback is also cheap, and the hardcover is also available and not too pricey. Alrighty, back to the show.
The alien entities, they're I'm gonna be, this might sound quite stupid. Are they trying to trick them out, or is that just by the way it portrays mentally ill people is not particularly pleasant, but anyway. The people that are luring them outside, they are always the mentally quote unquote ill people. Is that right? The aliens themselves are not, we don't know what they're doing, do we? We don't know why they're doing what they're doing. We don't know what they get out of it. No, we don't. Right, I thought so.
They are seers. I don't know. I can't remember if they
okay.
called that in the book or the sequel book or whatever. So those who have issues of some kind, the way it's explained online is, well, if you're already fucking crazy, these entities won't make you any fucking crazier.
Yeah,
they'll let you work with them to trick other humans into seeing them.
Yeah, the fuck. I mean, I'm glad it didn't show the aliens saying that to them, but you know, I'm glad it left it open. But it's just a bit shit, isn't it?
Look, apologies for the language, people, but fuck. And this is me, this is my fault. I'm a very, very obvious writer. So if I've got a story about ghosts, you're going to fucking see the ghosts. If I've got a story about the Loch Ness Monster, that monster is going to be slapping its balls across your face. If you're going to have, no, it's infuriating for me. I really like this hook that there are these entities. I don't even need to be told what they are. That's fine. And so if you look at them, you go fucking insane. That is awesome. And apparently when they were shooting it or in the production stages, they were going to show that every person sees something different. And they were going to show that thing, which, okay, but Sandra Bullock apparently poo-pooed it, which I kind of agree.
Don't need it, yeah.
By not having them seen means you put a lot more into it, but just have something in the background, have something like just, I love rules. I love rules in a book or rules in a movie, like Gremlins, great rules, or fucking Princess Bride, excellent rules, or The Ring, very good rules. It follows.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so juicy. You can sink your teeth into it. And this movie kind of is like, here's maybe a couple of rules, but we don't really care. And the characters don't really seem smart enough to want to care. You've got the one dude played by BD Wong who like, oh, yes, that's a good idea. Why not find this out? Yeah, be the canary in the coal mine. And he's dead. The one smart character who was willing to try something.
Yeah, they give up on that, don't they? Yeah.
I think you're a lot kinder than I am towards this. It's just, look, I love monsters. And if you've got a monster movie, lean into that shit. Don't play cute.
You can either get the characters to spell out the rules. What's that Aussie horror film on Netflix? The one with the hand.
Talk to me.
Yeah. So that again, it's like, we'll get the characters to explain the rules. You got that, or you've got, it becomes clear as the film goes on. It doesn't necessarily have to be exposition, but somebody's like, oh, I see what they're doing. This is in order to, whatever, you know, there are various ways of doing it, or you can just do like what The Happening does, which, yeah. I think about The Happening quite a lot. I don't know who wrote the dialogue. Like maybe it was like really, really early AI that wrote the dialogue. It's extraordinary, but a lot more fun than this in a way, because it's like, what is happening? Is it a wind up? Anyway, so yeah, I agree with you. Again, I think it's hamstrung by its structure, and pacing is not good. Where they don't, yeah, apart from BD Wong, no one's really trying to work out really what's going, why. The why of it is, and that's okay, but it's like, those people in that situation probably would. Another group in another situation might not, but you would think they would, but they don't. The supermarket, yeah, I mentioned the mist. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of people's low-key favorite little horror-y film. And
There's a movie that doesn't shy away from showing the fucking monsters
yeah,
and just really, really getting into it.
hasn't aged amazingly, but it doesn't matter because everyone's in it and the pacing is better, the characterization is better. It's just better. And I think this didn't want to go all, as you say, I think you're right. It didn't want to go all in. It didn't know how far to go in. Again, it's very, very saggy. The build-up of the relationship between Sandra Bullock and the guy.
Tom, played by Trevante Rhodes.
Yeah, good actor.
Gorgeous human being. Like, oh shit, yeah. In an apocalypse, I would love to be around that guy.
No complaints about the casting or even what he's attempting to do with that role, but it's saggy as fuck. Like if it were a TV show, you'd probably forgive it, the amount of time it spends on whatever it's doing. But in this, there really shouldn't be time for that. Quiet Place, which obviously we referenced last time, doesn't bother with that. At least the first one doesn't bother with that because it knows it'll sag it and it knows why people are watching it. Whereas we are denied for quite a long, basically the whole film, apart from that one scene of her kind of groping around the woods, we are basically denied the threat to be replaced by the mentally ill people, which again left a horrible taste in my mouth. And I just thought, really? Okay. So what you're saying, they're already suicidal. I mean, I know you've already alluded to it. And sometimes you're devious and sometimes you're just crazy. Sometimes you're Tom Hollander, who seems to be following some kind of pre-agreed plan. Anyway, I mean, and yes, it's derivative. And yes, there's no, you could say that about it. I actually just finished reading Hollow Kingdom, which did get better as it went along. I think it set itself up better, but I seem to have read about 50 novels that are basically the same.
I've written a novel called Yokai, which is all about shit happens in Tokyo and Tokyo gets fucked up. I have a handful of characters who have to make their way through Tokyo. So maybe that's why I'm being a bit more stricter on Bird Box. I've walked this road myself. And it's just, if you're going to have you alluded to it earlier, the Zack Snyder, James Gunn 2004 Dawn of the Dead-esque sequence where shit happens, okay, have that. And then you've got The House. Okay, so now it becomes this kind of movie. Well, in order for it to become that kind of movie, you need a very tense location with very unique, interesting characters. And then it keeps becoming a different movie. And each time it fails more and more and more. You had the tools right at the beginning. Why didn't you have the confidence to stick to it? I don't know. I feel like every writer has an end of the world story in them. But the issue is everyone's world seemingly ends the same. We've seen this again and again. 2004 Dawn of the Dead, I think that was one of the first, for me at least, times where new technology, new CGI was able to showcase how fucking insane a city can get when everyone panics. And then I think that the year later, Spielberg's 2005 War of the Worlds upped it even more so. I mean, shit, Shinsuke Sato's I Am a Hero did the Tokyo version in 2015. At this point, you either need to go really crazy or you need to go really, really intimate. I know it's based on a book, so what's the point of suggesting changes that aren't in the book? But you said it yourself, Sandra Bullock and Sarah Paulson, that is a dynamic I want to see. That is a relationship I would like to see. I would like to follow these two characters. They're very codependent, but not in a way. And then she's killed. And then Sandra Bullock's character is paired up with a whole bunch of other characters that aren't as interesting as the sister.
Yeah.
We've seen right at the beginning, Sandra Bullock is paired up with two children, and they are interesting. Within the space of the first 5 minutes of this movie, we have the main character paired up in two different scenarios. Both of them, yes, I want to stay with this, and then we're not given that.
Yep.
And then what we are given, unfortunately, just look, fuck this cutting back and forth.
Yep.
Fuck you, filmmakers, for thinking I don't have the attention span, and fuck you for lowering the bar yet again. Tension can be held. Feelings of dread or the hairs on the back of your neck can be drawn out, but not if you keep popping the balloon. Have the faith. I don't know, I'm rambling.
Generally, with a film like this, you can tell which part of it the director has, well, in this case, her heart in. So sometimes you'll watch it and you'll be like, they're not really interested in the action, but they're doing it. Sometimes the opposite. They're not really interested in the characterization, but and in this, I really couldn't work out where she would have maybe taken it if she'd have had complete free reign, or which scenes are directed in a way that makes you think, oh, that's what she actually wants to do. I couldn't tell you because none of it really jumps out. Generally in these films, the just before the disaster and everything going to shit is the most interesting thing. It's very rare that you read or see any of these kinds of things that ends and you're like, yeah. I'm even struggling now to think of an example. Which of these kinds of films has ended satisfactorily?
It's a Netflix film, Leave the World Behind, with Julia Roberts and Mahershala Ali. That movie did this so much better. Better pacing, better tension, better mysterious villain, and honestly, better use of unique characters stuck in one place. The powder keg of it all. I really recommend Leave the World Behind. It's not a perfect film, but it did what Bird Box is trying to do or trying to say, but it did it so much more elegantly, effectively, and interestingly. At this point in the show, we focus on our final question, which is what scenes, what changes would we suggest which would have maybe have made this better? What I'll say is I think just have the confidence to keep to a singular timeline, or if you want to have the same kind of emotional beats that you've got in the movie right now, you could have killed the sister in the house or in the supermarket or whatever, like the scene where Lil Ray Howery, who seems to have the market covered on skittish black guys who know shit, when he does his charge.
Why does he do that? It's inexplicable.
But that could have been the sister doing that to save her sister who is pregnant.
Yeah. Why him? Like, there's nothing. You could have even drip fed a line earlier about, I don't know, as you say, protecting a pregnant woman seems like a reasonable, but nothing.
I've always been a coward. I've never, like, when the shit's the fan, I've never been able to really just get myself in order. I did like the end result of that scene though, with the door being closed, the slight sound effect, and then the blood under the door. That was nice. I like that. So then what would you like to have seen in regards to changes?
Develop tension with characters who have a chemistry. The Quiet Place, I'm not as big on it as I know a lot of people were when it first came out, but two people who have chemistry together for the most of the film, working together, you're with them because they seem to be with each other. I just think if you're going to make this kind of film, why would you not do that? Or go a bit crazier, unleash Malkovich, like the Serenity, which I believe it ended up being Netflix. I mean, it's saying here in theaters, but I think in England it never got a theatrical release. And that goes all over the place. And that is it's a film that you recommend because you're like, the hell has happened here? Honestly, it has the best and worst twist, I hate to say ever, but probably I've ever seen. It's so inexplicable that it is literally a jaw-dropping moment. So we've seen these kinds of films so many times. It's Bird Box is a few years ago. We've even seen more since then. It's very difficult to do something new or try and inject any life into it. So either you develop the drama and make it, as you said earlier, a smaller piece, or you just go crazy with it.
In the book, from what I remember, the sister looks out a window and she sees the entity, and then she goes out the window. Mallory, she gets word of a safe house that has individuals, and she makes her way there. So certainly the movie version is a lot more visual and bombastic, having the whole fucking city street just go berserk. I see why they've made those choices. Like, of course, yeah.
I haven't seen. Have you actually seen the Bird Box Barcelona? Then I haven't seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
No. Okay.
No.
Maybe that does it better. I don't know.
Or maybe it just does it again in Barcelona.
But Quiet Place is the similar thing, isn't it? They've done their day one or.
I really appreciated that first film. I know what you're doing.
Right,
you're doing it well. First time director. This is great. Good job. But I haven't seen the other ones. It was enough for me. That was good. It Follows. I love It Follows. I think they're finally making a sequel.
I know.
But I prefer It Follows more than A Quiet Place. I'm interested to see what they do with
and
that.
Smile. They're doing that sequel to Smile as well, right?
Yes. I'm eager to see Smile because there's a movie that A, doesn't wear out its welcome. It's just go, go, go. B, what a fresh idea.
Yeah.
C, it fucking leans into the horror and the monster. You want to know what the fuck is going on? By the end of that movie, it is very clear, which some people might not like, but I think, great, thank you, awesome, that was cool. And now you're going to do the sequel and you're just going to do it fucking bigger? Oh, great. I'm here for it.
So then why, if we very briefly analyze, why does that, it's basically the same thing transplanted into a different area with different characters. I think it probably works better because of the simplicity of it, right? It follows as well. All, quote unquote, you have to do as a writer is just write interesting characters, and you don't really have to change the scenario that much. But obviously there's not been a sequel to Bird Box, or there has been a book sequel.
Josh Malerman, the writer, he wrote his book maybe 3 or 4 years later. They made the movie. He watched the movie with his wife, and his wife apparently turned to him and said, well, what do you think happens to Mallory? Because of that, he wrote the book.
That sounds like bollocks to me, Brad. She ends up in a school for the blind. Is that where we are? With the most incredible atrium in the history of atriums. It's like, I don't know if you've ever been to the atrium in the British Museum in London. British Museum, problematic place, but that atrium is phenomenal. Anybody who lives or works anywhere near there just goes there for lunch every day because it's just the most incredible place. Anyway, this school for the blind, how does the book go about explaining that ending? Because when I watched the film, I was laughing. You're ending it there? What does the book say? Please explain.
It was a school for the blind, I think, that purposely blinded themselves to stop. Yeah, well, if you fucking blind yourself, there's no way this entity will ever fuck you up. I can't remember if most of the colony or most people in the refuge had done it, but the sequel, someone tells Mallory that the creatures can now spread the madness through touch.
Through touch, right? So they've got around the eyes, so to speak. Again, it's a problem with the structure because you get to that end and you've got that relatively tense sequence where she's falling about all over the place. But because of the way you structured it, it doesn't have the impact that you think it's going to have.
The scene on the boat with the guy saying, take your blindfold off, that was creepy.
But so that's what I mean. It's like 2 or 3 films in one, none of which done as well as they should have been or would have been if they'd have spent more time in it. So the arrival into the sanctuary, just so flat. That's what I mean. I cannot imagine anyone being like, well, what happened? I mean, seemingly they're fine. It did leave me with questions, but not the question the wife was asking.
The hill I'm going to die on is this. The problem I have is the entity doesn't fuck with the main character enough. In It Follows and in Smile, both of these malevolent entities directly fuck with the main character again and again and again and again. Whereas this entity, like you said before, what does it want? What's its purpose? Does it just want to kill? Like, is it evil or not? So if I was writing a novel or even in the movie version, I would have had it talking, constantly talking, using different characters' voices.
Well, hang on a minute. You just reminded me. There is that bit. When she's in the woods on her own, she does hear the voices of her sister, doesn't she?
I mean, go much
The
fucking
aliens
harder.
doing that? Or is that the mentally ill people doing that? No, it's got to be the alien, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So the alien does try and do it.
I wouldn't even bother for the creature to pretend, really just fucking ridicule and ruin and mock. Be like, oh, that baby in your belly. Ooh, it's not going to turn out well, is it? What's the point of you even walking through this forest, love? If you trip and you mess up, oh, is that a rock over there? You can't see it. And of course, creepy voice actor, much more nastier dialogue. But
yeah, you could have gone that way. Yeah.
The entity is so ambivalent towards humanity as a whole. Fuck with Sandra Bullock specifically. And then just, if everyone sees something different, then the entity or tease would be fucking with everyone in a different manner and saying different things. If it had had that, oh, this thing just won't let her go. The Apple movie Greyhounds with Tom Hanks during World War II, he's a boat captain and there are German U-boats hunting him. Throughout the picture, the U-boat captain hacks the radio and is like,
Greyhound, good luck surviving the night. Fuck your CGI feather. Und your sneakers? Gump, you can shove that box of chocolates right up your submarine ass.
and then the soundtrack, whenever you see the U-boats, it goes,
Wow.
God. Is that a horror?
No, well, no, but it works because the villain is directly going after the main character, and that sound effect cue, which is used a lot in that movie, it's there. All we get in this is leaves and a shadow, but even the shadow is ill-defined. There's that cool scene in the car where like the sensors are fucking going off, but if it's the shadow, it's not physical. Yeah, like I just
The birds are an early warning system, but is the monster always around? Are there many of them? Are they always there? Are they sometimes there? Are they not there?
that's what I really couldn't fucking get. Is this one thing or a billion things? Because A Quiet Place,
Yeah.
it's very clear. It's a fuckload of these things. I get the allure and the question mark. I get the need to be like, well, make up your own mind. But for this movie, coming back to this cardboard burger, I need more taste.
During the course of this conversation, we're basically saying maybe smaller and weirder would be more interesting. Yeah, probably our tastes and our sentiments would lean towards that. I don't think Sandra Bullock would have been interested in making it. Well, she might have been, but I don't know if they'd have given it the backing.
For some reason, this movie is never claustrophobic.
No.
You've got the blindfold on, but I don't feel, because you're constantly cutting to shots that show the surroundings. I don't think there's a way to do an entire movie blindfolded. I'm not suggesting that, but there is a way to shoot a movie that leaves the audience in the dark. The whole point of this movie is for Sandra's character, Mallory, to come to terms with being a mom. That's the whole arc of this movie.
It doesn't really do that very well, does it? Because of the structure, we know that I've done everything for boy and girl. Well, you haven't even named them. That is not given enough time for me to give two shits about. The book that, your book, you have got a kind of similar thing going on, right? You've got a female who develops a maternal instinct, but it's done from beginning to end with beats and moments and reasons. You're actually following these people or this person developing this bond. Long story short, there are films, as anyone who's listened to any of these will know, there are films I dislike a lot more than this, but it kind of doesn't do enough to justify its existence.
Mates, friends, folks, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Written Off. Whether you're listening at home, you're doing a spot of cleaning here or there, I don't know, you're at work, fuck the boss, doesn't matter what he or she says. Or if you're in the car and, that motorbike over there, Jesus, be careful, whoa, buddy. That was way too close. You almost fully killed that person, okay? Look, I'm not going to tell anyone, I promise, okay? But geez, just keep an eye on the traffic. Next episode, this might be the one where the audience turns against us. Yep, this might be the one where you just stop. No more written off downloads because we are focusing on the beloved classic, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Yes, in 2 weeks' time, bi-weekly, that episode will be released. And I gotta say, yeah, that was, look, even now, after watching that movie and recording the episode, it's a head scratcher. It's just, here, have a listen.
They're all really like sadistic, aren't they? I mean they are anyway. The Warner Brothers cartoons always kind of were, but the Disney cartoon characters, seeing them perverse in their enjoyment of sadism, like it's.
I'm gonna make a meat suit. Oh boy!
But even the weasels as well, laughing themselves to death, basically autoerotic asphyxiation.
You can listen to our thoughts on that particularly interesting film in 2 weeks' time. But until then, hey, leave us a review. Give us those 5 stars. Why the hell not? What else are you going to do with your time? Whatever podcast app you're listening on, 5 stars, leave a review. Tell us that we smell nice or that you like the soft tones of Mark's voice. If you are sick of the movies we're covering and you think you got a better one, leave us a comment on Written Off Pod at Instagram. Yeah. You could say something like, Jesus, Bradley, who is picking these films? I'll tell you, a film that is the definition of meh. And here it is, ... And Mark and I will probably laugh and make snide comments at your expense, but there's a good chance we might also cover that film in the future. You never know. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of our podcast. And hey, if Bird Box is your particular jam, cool. We are never ever out to bring down anyone's fandom or say that they are wrong. God knows Mark and I are wrong about so many things on a minute-by-minute basis. We are not the be-all and end-all. We are a bunch of fucking morons who aren't worth a damn. But if you agree with us, ayy. Folks, as always, grab a slice and we'll catch you for the next episode of Written Off. Written Off is hosted by me, Bradley Freeman, and Mark Tasker. It's produced by the both of us, and it's edited by me. Our theme music is by Skane, and our artwork is by Sketchfro. This has been a Pugnacious Podcast production.